everybody. Welcome to BO Boys for Monday, January 16th. Fuck it. It's a raw feed. We're doing it live. I'm Clayton.
Yeah, I'm Pat and Clayton. It is a celebration today. It is a celebration of an incredible weekend at the box office. We come bearing great news. I mean, I think pretty much this whole episode, we get to play, even though Christmas is a month ago, we get to play Santa Claus because we are just handing out box office gifts tonight, and I'm happy to do it. So, Clayton, do you want to plow through this weekend of Friday, January 13th, 2023?
Yes, we're going to do 4 days, and then we can talk about these weekends if we want to, but let's do the 4-day numbers. Number 1, Avatar, The Way of Water, made $40 million in its 4-day. Number 2, M3GAN made $21.7 million in its 4-day. Number 3, Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, made $19 million in its 4-day. Tom Hanks, A Man Called Otto, made $15.3 in its 4-day. And rounding out this top 5, Plane, Jerry Butler's Actioneer, made $12 million in its 4-day.
Yeah, all of it, everything in that top 5 is good news. If you want to find bad-ish news, I guess you go down to number 6 and the House Party opening weekend. Even that, I would say, is not bad news. House Party opened to $4 million for the 3-day. What is it for the 4-day, Clayton? It is around $5 million for the 4-day.
Well, I didn't go down that far.
He didn't go down that far, but I will say the House Party reboot, House Party 2023, is, I would say, a fine opening for what that movie is. Its 3-day opening weekend is $4 million. The original House Party in 1990 opened to $4.6 million. Obviously, it had pretty good legs. Almost 4 multiplier made it to $16 million. But I don't think Warner Brothers could have ever expected much more for this House Party movie. It's basically a promotion for when it's eventually on HBO, and they'll get to make some cash now. This will probably make like 10 million domestic at the box office. And that's kind of free money because this was supposed to be a streamer. So even this House Party opening at number 6, $4 million for the 3-day.
4.7 for the 4-day.
4.7 for the 4-day. It's online with what the original movies did. These are small movies. These are House Party movies. Did what it was always going to do. And
it's a movie that opened in only 1,400 theaters.
Yep.
Got zero promotion. I mean,
yep.
The promotion that I saw for this movie was one poster at the top of an escalator at our normal theater.
Yes.
And then we had to be prodded into watching the trailer because the trailer did not show up in front of any of the movies that we had seen. And we see a lot of movies.
For us to have not seen a House Party trailer in movie theaters means that this was probably not playing very much in trailers. I did see some commercials for House Party in the final week. They aired on some TBS TNT programming, including an AEW Dynamite broadcast. So I did see they were doing some in-house ads for House Party. But as we talked about last week, LeBron didn't give his all to the promotion. But it still made, what did you say, 4.7 million in the 4-day?
Yeah.
This is good. This House Party opening is a small sign of just how healthy the box office is. If people wanted to see it, they sought out a hidden House Party movie in theaters to find it, to the tune of 4.7. And
this movie could have easily made 1.7 million or 2, or you know what I mean? Like,
yes.
This movie could have completely cratered.
oh, this could have been a Playmobil situation, but people
Hmm.
wanted to find movies to watch this weekend. They wanted to go. They went. I mean, you could throw a dart at this top five, and we're going to have some good news to talk about. So, Clayton, why don't you throw the first dart? Which movie in this top five strikes you as the biggest story? What is the lead here?
Well, I mean, it's not the biggest story, but it's a movie that we've been neglecting, and I think we
Okay.
need to talk Puss in Boots.
Okay.
The Last Wish, number three. And
Yeah.
for the weekend, it was up 6%,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this is a film that is currently available on PVOD, right?
Mm-hmm.
$30 to buy, $25 to rent. And still, people went to see this movie to the tune of, what was it for the 4 day? 19? Something like that? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's 14
Mm-hmm.
for the 3 day. We had, let's see, for Puss in Boots,
Well, the
we
big
had
story on the Puss in
19.
19, and the big story there is what was the drop? Oh, there wasn't a drop from last weekend. This movie was up 6% from the previous weekend.
Yes.
People, and of course the people who listen to this show know this, but I don't think you could reiterate this strongly enough. This is bananas. This Puts in
Hmm.
Boots run, this Last Wish run is officially banana right now.
Hmm.
Um,
Now, and so there's and Pat, you can step aside real fast because I might step in it. So
sure.
just step aside while I possibly step in it.
Okay, so disclaimer, whatever is said next has nothing to do with me, my reputation, my career. Go for it,
Yes,
Clayton.
this is all me. There seems to be this prevailing thought on, and mostly online, that everybody wants to stay home at all times. And I'm not going to get into why and the reasoning, but there seems to be a prevailing thing that nobody wants to go out anywhere, nobody wants to do anything. And that's just not true because Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, families are going to see this movie in the theater. And the reason is because they don't want to just be all around the house the whole weekend. Because then it makes it feel like they didn't do anything. People want to do things, they want to go out in the world and do things. And one of those things is to go to the theater. So the fact that this movie is plus 6%, right? You see, people waited to see this movie because of all these other extenuating circumstances. You know, there was the winter storm, there was other things to see, there was Avatar to see. But at the end of the day, the word of mouth, the critic scores. No, critics don't matter, huh? But in this
Uh,
case, people kept seeing, oh, people like this movie, and they went out because they like to go out. Because parents like to get their kids out of the house and have them run around other places other than their living rooms. You know what I mean? And so that's why I think Puss in Boots and theater going in general is rebounding. You're seeing this. You're seeing this with A Man Called Otto. You're seeing this with Plane, which is a movie we saw
right.
that overperformed. And this is a B movie, if there ever was a B movie. And Jerry Butler got the meat and potatoes people into the theater.
Well, let's get back to this Puss in Boots. First of all, I'll say less controversial than I was expecting when you told
Okay.
me that it to step aside for a moment.
Listen, it's hard out there, Pat. It's hard out there, and I don't want anything even close to jeopardize your career. Okay.
No. I mean, obviously, my career is the most important thing that either of us have in play right now. So thank you for doing
Absolutely.
that. It was a smart
You're
move.
welcome. You're
But
welcome.
I agree. Families want to go out. They don't want to just stay home. It's clear. And the thing is, this movie's on PVOD, this Last Wish, but that is not the same as going to a movie. And for a parent, when you take your kids to a movie, you could say, we did something today. You could say that to
Hmm.
yourself. You could say that to your God. You could say that to your therapist. Oh, I didn't just stay home and plot my kid in front of the TV all day. We went
Yes.
out. And that's like, oh, where'd you go? We went to a movie. A movie
Great.
counts as going out. So going to having Last Wish on PVOD is not going to cannibalize Last Wish. Also, let's just state this out here. People love this movie. Last Wish
Yeah.
is doing Bafa Bobo, not just because it's the only kids movie out, though that certainly helps, not because it's IP, though that certainly helps. It's doing this business because the word of mouth on this movie is fantastic. You don't get a plus 6% bump in your fourth weekend unless it is a movie that people are talking about. And I think most importantly, kids are probably talking about this on the playground. You know,
Yeah.
we don't know this for sure. Clayton and I are not on the playgrounds.
No.
We are not hearing what's going on the playgrounds, but
Nope.
I think it is a reasonable, safe assumption to assume that on these playgrounds, these kids are talking up Puss in Boots. They are saying, you gotta go see this.
Yes. And they're probably calling him Puss and Boots, and that's fine. The message will get through.
And they're probably saying some other stuff. You know, it's kids. They come up with nicknames. They have fun with words. So whatever they're calling Puss in Boots, when the laughter is done and when the little jokes are done amongst the kids, they're telling their friends, you got to see this Puss in Boots. You got to see in the theater. I'm sure there's low BO boys, low BO girls, low BO people on these playgrounds who are talking up this box office of Puss in Boots. You know, I think that is probably at this point spread to the playgrounds where the kids are telling each other, hey, this Puss in Boots is having a Greatest Showman-esque run at the box office. Clayton, do you believe, you know, Greatest Showman gets thrown around a lot? It's obviously the shorthand for a fantastic leggy run during the holidays. Do you feel like we now could put this Puss in Boots and his last wish in the same conversation with the Greatest Showman?
I don't know. I mean, The Greatest Showman opened so low. I mean, The Greatest Showman was a movie that was DOA.
DOA,
And
yes.
and this was never DOA. I do think Greatest Showman gets thrown around way too much, and we are not seeing. Sorry, not to be contrary, but we're not seeing Greatest Showman here.
I mean, I'm gonna say I
Greatest
think
Showman
we
opened
are.
to $8 million,
It
and
did.
then it legged out to 174.3 million domestic and 257 international for 431 worldwide.
Now the Greatest
Pat,
Showman,
that's sick.
it's sick, but I think this Puss in Boots is also sick. I do think this Puss in Boots is also sick because Greatest Showman, listen, it had that amazing second weekend, you know, where it
Plus
opened at 8.8
76%,
and then plus 76,
15.5.
and it had that, and that was sick. But I think you have also got to give it to this Puss in Boots because a increase in the fourth weekend is also sick. I think Puss in Boots is also sick, and I would say it's in conversation with the Greatest Showman. I mean, Puss in Boots we calmed the masses when it happened, but Puss
Yeah, oh
in
yeah.
Boots did open low. Puss in Boots opened to a $12.4 million opening weekend, right? And then its second weekend was plus 35%. And its
That's
fourth
not
weekend is
76.
plus
That's not
it's
76%.
it's not plus it's not, but Greatest Showman never had a plus weekend again after that second weekend. Puss in
That's
Boots
not
just did it.
true.
Puss in Boots
March
did it.
30th, 2018.
Okay, you're going
it had
deep
a
into it.
plus 1% increase.
That's
16th, 15th
now that's
weekend.
probably an anomaly that has something to do with either drive-ins or some kind of discount sale. I'm talking about in actual earnest weeks early on. Puss in Boots has now had two positive quote unquote drops, two non-drops in its first 4 weeks. Even the Greatest Showman did not do that. I think Puss in Boots is sick. And I think it's in the conversation.
I agree it's sick. I'm just saying The Greatest Showman is its own thing. And
I mean,
to say Puss in Boots is equivalent to it, I don't believe it because it needs to have that 76% increase is insane. It's insane. And Puss in Boots does not have anything like that. 30 something, that's great. 6 this week
that's incredible.
is great.
That's
It is
incredible.
but
These are both
76
incredible.
is a phenomenal.
But the Greatest Showman run is not only about that second weekend. The Greatest Showman run is about the run itself. It's about the
It's
incredible
about
homes.
people
And
coming
that is what
back and
Puss in Boots is doing.
singing during it. I mean, that's the thing. It's like
Well,
Puss in Boots. We had evidence that it is a danceable movie, at least at the end.
yes,
We got an
yes,
email about how a young child and a middle aged man were both dancing in the credits of this movie. If
yes,
this movie keeps going up and there
yes.
are dance parties at Puss in Boots showings, then I will give you The Greatest Showman.
And
Then I
we're
will
only
give you
4 weeks
that.
in. That is very
Okay.
possible. That is
It's
very
too early
possible.
for Greatest Showman, but I'm not. I won't say there's a 0% chance. It's too early for Greatest Showman
Do you
because
think
this
at this
movie's not going to
point,
make 174 domestic.
I mean, honestly, I'm going to say right now, all bets are off. After this weekend, after what Puss in Boots just did in its fourth weekend, Clayton, all bets for this Puss are off. I think
All
last
right.
weekend we were hedging. Can't it even get close to Sing 2? You were like, no way, no way. Sing 2 made 162.7 and it's
I didn't say no way. Who was here saying no way?
check, roll the tapes, check the tape
I
machines.
didn't say no way.
I'm pretty sure you said something
No
akin to
way. No
way.
way. I said no way. There's no way I said no way.
Use that footage, splice it in there. Want to be a intern, Christopher? Do your thing. And
He loves making me look the fool. That's for sure.
and I gotta say, at this point, Sing 2, I think it is very possible that this Puss in Boots eclipses the $162.7 million of Sing 2. I mean, this Puss in Boots is what, up to 107 million total after this 3-day weekend. And I think anything is possible. I think this movie could easily have 60, 70, 80 million dollars left in the domestic till.
We'll see, and I hope it does, Pat. I hope
Of
it
course.
does. But
I know
here,
you do.
let's talk about a movie that is less divisive amongst us.
I mean, this shouldn't have been divisive, and I don't think it is. We both think this Puss in Boots is sick.
It is sick. We both agree about its sickness.
It's sick.
That it is sick.
It is
Now,
down with the sickness.
of course, as we all are. Number 4, A Man Called Otto.
Yes.
Just in the weekend, up 205%. It added 3,165 theaters. People thought, oh, well, was that big, not wide release, obviously, but larger limited release last week where it made 5 plus. Is that going to cannibalize?
Mm-hmm.
And boy, howdy, did it not cannibalize, because
Mm-hmm.
this movie made almost 16 million in its 4-day. And people are loving this movie. It's already at 19 million.
Yep.
Probably plus 20 probably by today. This movie is killing it.
Killing it.
In
Now,
the heartland. In the heartland, Pat. Cuz none of the coastal cities,
mm-hmm.
or at least the coastal elite cities,
Mm-hmm.
have a theater in the top 50 for this movie.
So no New York City, no Los Angeles theaters place in the top theaters that did business for Otto this weekend. Well, first off, let's start by patting on the back a coastal elite who got it right, because last weekend I went way on the high end of this. I went a little higher than it did, but I went 16 million for the 4-day.
Oh yeah.
And this did what, 15 and change for the 4-day, which was so much higher than the projections. I mean, when we went last week, the estimates were what, 7, 8 to 10 or 11 million dollars for the 4. I mean, I knew I may be a coastal elite, but I always have I watch Yellowstone. I know what's going on in the heartland. I keep track of them. I never let them out of my sight. And I knew, we both knew, but I knew it more, that this Man Called Otto was going to resonate. So
15.3 for the 4-day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And 21.5 domestic as of us speaking.
Yes. So I think that a studio that we don't give enough credit to, we talk a lot about Paramount, and they had a great year last year, save for Babylon. They were an incredible studio. We end up having to talk about Disney a lot just because they're, always in the news. But we don't talk enough about Sony.
Yes.
And Sony's studio plan. And Sony is a studio that is about as old fashioned as it gets. They don't have a streamer.
Mm-hmm.
They're out of the crackle business. So Sony doesn't have the streamer. They basically have a deal with Netflix where they get paid a lot of money to send their titles to Netflix, downstream.
Yep.
And they release movies to movie theaters, and they release movies that are not necessarily IP kid driven movies. They release adult skewing movies,
Mm-hmm.
and they do it pretty well. I mean, Crawdads this past summer was a
Yep.
Sony release that made $90 million domestic.
Mm-hmm.
Last year they had the Tom Holland, Mark Wahlberg adventure movie called
Uncharted.
Uncharted, which did Bafa Bobo, 150 plus domestic, huge hit. They make these old fashioned movies, and Otto, I think, is just a great example of a movie that really only Sony is making right now.
Yeah. And do you have the demos in front of you, right, Pat?
I do have some demos in front of me. So this is from Anthony D. Alessandro, must read every week on Deadline. And he had a couple of articles this week breaking down what happened with Otto. And let's see, he says that this quote from Anthony D. Alessandro picks over indexing cities were Salt Lake City, Phoenix, Tampa, Minnesota, Orlando, Denver, Detroit. However, there's a ton of smaller cities I'm hearing that did well, like Toledo and Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh.
There you go, Clayton. Your people, they went to see this Man Called Otto in Pittsburgh. The
He is
latter
going
where
out
the
to see
pick,
it.
the latter where the pick was shot.
Yep. Oh yeah.
So Otto, you and Otto, you're cut from the same cloth in Pittsburgh. So Anthony D'Alessandro says that demos were 70% Caucasian, 15% Hispanic and Latino, 3% Black, 12% Asian other. And the movie cost $50 million for a P&A. So there's your demos. I mean, listen, 70% Caucasian. So it over-indexed with the Caucasians,
Yes.
which, you know what? We love diversity in movies. We love when all demos sort of over-index and you get more diverse audience. But this is one that was heavily Caucasian. Tom Hanks has his fan base. Otto as a
Yeah.
character. I think it makes sense that that's how that played.
Yep.
And there's movies for everyone out there. And
Well,
Otto was
that's the
clearly a
thing.
movie for a 70% Caucasian audience.
I don't think you want to intentionally release a movie that's exclusionary, right?
Right.
But if there's a certain group that loves a movie and over indexes, then as long as there's other options for everyone, that's the thing about a multiplex. It's
Yes.
not like Otto's the only thing at your theater for weeks and it's like, sorry, nothing there for you. It's like you have so many different options playing right now. Avatar, M3GAN, Plane. You've got something for the rats because they need their cheese and they're loving Puss in Boots. Then
Right.
you got something like A Man Called Otto, right?
Right.
And
Right.
here's the other thing: it's like it might be not a lot of people's thing, and then they see this box office and
Yes.
they say, you know what? I'm gonna check out this Otto guy and see what's what. And so we'll try to keep track of these demos. It's hard in these like later weeks. They don't really
Yeah.
keep track of demos, but it's possible that this could branch out and just be a movie that a lot of people want to see because they're hearing good things about it. They saw Tom Hanks and Elvis and they're saying, "Oh,
Right.
you mean the old guy with the accent from Elvis? I got to see this."
Right. And, with the demo breakdowns, like you said, we usually only get those the opening weekend. And a lot of times what those tell you are what is the breakdown of the audience that was most excited to see a movie, that wanted to see it
Mhm.
opening weekend, that wanted to try it before they even knew anything.
Yeah.
And yeah, you could get a situation where there's 70% Caucasian audience, but then they're telling their buddies from other demographics. They're telling their
Yeah.
buddy at the office or at the wherever people congregate, at the park, whoever. They're talking
Mhm.
to their buddy at work and they're saying, "Listen, I know, I get it. Otto doesn't seem like it's your thing, He just seems like this gruff old white guy. But let me tell you, here's the real story with Otto. And that could
Hmm.
work. That could turn these other demos off even further. Who
Yeah.
knows? It depends how carefully and the conversation is had by the 70% Caucasian audience. But there is a chance that they tell their coworkers, their friends of other demos about Otto, and they make a persuasive case. And maybe next weekend, it's a more diverse audience. Who knows?
And
Possibly.
this skewed older and female,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
so if it's one of those things where somebody's uh guardian that's in that demo, or somebody, like you said, their workmate that's in that demo, says, I know you're a young person, this
Mm,
doesn't seem like a movie for a young person, but trust me, because people talk to other people, people talk to other kinds of people, it happens, and they can
right.
say, trust me, this movie is good,
Right.
and then
Right.
people will go see it. This is not a Marvel movie. This is not a huge tentpole movie. So people
Huh.
are going to have to use word of mouth. They're going to have to talk
Yes.
to people. And guess what? That happens. And it can be cordial.
Yes.
I have
Yes.
plenty cordial conversations with people that are not exactly like me every day of my life.
Right.
And a lot of
So
it has to do with movies.
movies are what brings us together. Tom Hanks is obviously incredibly famous. He has been a gigantic movie star for going on now 30 years. He was
Mm-hmm.
a known comedy actor in the 80s. League of Their Own comes out and Sleep in Seattle, all that around 91, 92. And he's off to the races. He's been a mega movie star 30 years now. And
Mm-hmm.
clearly the run is not over. And he's got his
No.
fan base. It's everyone knows Tom Hanks, but I think now you're seeing the audience is aging with him. Older women,
Yep.
you said the women turn out at 60%, 62% over 45. These women who loved him in Sleepless in Seattle and You've Got Mail, and they loved seeing him and Meg Ryan have very chaste romantic relationships, they have stuck with Tom Hanks. They have
Mm-hmm.
not left his side. They came out to see Otto because they still love him from Gump, from Sleepless in Seattle, from You've Got Mail. They have not
He's
left him.
he's having a phenomenal run. This is such a nice rebound for him. It's like him and like someone like Denzel, who, like, it feels like Denzel never ebbed. Like he always either
Yeah,
just like
always
decided
flowed.
to do other stuff, but then he would have an Equalizer movie and it would be make almost $100 million. I mean,
Yep.
that's the thing, is like these perennial stars, man, they're
Yeah.
forever stars and they can come back.
I mean, you look at this year, we said it before, but 2022 and now what Otto 2023 could be the same way. The 90s stars are still your stars. Tom Hanks and Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt and George
Julia
Clooney and
Roberts.
Julia Roberts and Sandy Bullock and
Mm-hmm.
Denzel didn't make a movie last year, but that Equalizer movie is going to come out and make its $98 million domestic. You just know it's
Yep.
gonna. And Angela Bassett and Black Panther, I mean, the 90s stars are
Not a
the
star.
stars of
Not a
today,
star. Not a star.
and the 90s stars are the stars of today until they get unseated. Here's a movie that I want to comp to for Otto. Last year in February, we had a surprise hit domestically in Dog, starring Channing Tatum. And that movie opened to 14.8 million in February. Great run, very leggy run, and got to 61 million domestic. And that was
Mm-hmm.
in last February. I think as time marches on through post pandemic, the box office circumstances only get better. And
Mm-hmm.
I think Otto could have a similar to better run. I think the end range of Otto could be somewhere between Dog and Crawdads.
Mm-hmm.
You take those two
Yeah.
animals, and in between them, I think shall fall A Man Called
Otto.
Otto.
Michael Otto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
And it's funny, and it's so funny. We don't talk streaming because we're not streamo boys, huh?
huh?
But as much as Netflix hates theatrical, they're looking at these auto numbers and they're being like, what's going to be a big hit on our service, bigger than all the crap we churn out, is when this movie drops.
Yes.
They're excited for Otto, like we all are. They're excited for theatrical movies because they know that's what's gonna pay the piper at the end of the day, right?
Yes, yes. You will see in 6 months that when A Man Called Otto has done its great box office run, has done its great domestic box office run, then it's done its PVOD run and made a lot of moolah
Mm-hmm.
there, and then it's done its Blu-ray run and all that. And it's listen, this is going to be a movie that I'm sure there's still that one Blockbuster video that's open in what, Texas or Alaska or wherever the hell that Blockbuster is, or Utah,
I
it's
think it's
somewhere.
in yeah, it's in Oregon or something. I
One of the
think.
Dakotas. It might be a Dakota, but wherever that Blockbuster video is, I want to call them up in a couple of months, or whenever Otto finally gets a Blockbuster, that movie is going to do gangbusters rental at that single Blockbuster video location. A Man Called Otto is going to blow the roof off of the rental sales at that Blockbuster video,
In
which is,
Bend, Oregon.
oh my god, oh my god.
Yeah.
That location must be
Yeah.
salivating to get A Man Called Otto in 6 months.
Yeah.
This movie is going to do incredible box office and downstream business, and then when it finally gets to Netflix, just set your watch to it. It will be the number one most viewed thing the week that it drops on Netflix, and it'll beat whatever gigantic original $200 million movie that Netflix plops down on there like a bag of farts. You're
Mm-hmm.
going to have A Man Called Otto will be the thing that everyone's watching on Netflix after it's had a great box office run.
So, Pat, this is how good this weekend was.
Uh-huh.
Is that we've gone almost 40 minutes and we haven't even talked about the number one and number two movies.
Oh my
We
god. Can,
haven't
can I
talked
just
about,
can I just say
what?
one more thing about Otto that I forgot to point out
Of
here?
course.
One more thing about Otto, because listen, Anthony D'Alessandro did a great job on Deadline breaking stuff down. He
Mm-hmm.
talked about the promotional campaign for Otto. And, this wasn't a campaign where it was about uh, uh, social media dances, and it wasn't about Alexis and Taco Bell collaboration, anything like that. They did some very smart things targeted at this audience. He says there was a huge AARP screening program to promote Otto. There were ads in older demo magazines like Reader's Digest. That's right. Reader's Digest
Wow.
is still around, and it is selling
Yeah.
movie tickets. And big TV spots on NFL games and Yellowstone and 1923.
Yes.
So
Of
there you go.
course.
So Clayton, what do you think of this Otto marketing campaign?
Smart. It's just like making TikTok videos and halftime dances and things like that. You market to the group that you think is most likely going to go see your movie.
Yep.
And people who read ARP magazine or whatever, or ARP members,
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to go to TikTok to
Right.
watch Otto, the Man Called Otto dance. They're going to, go to a free screening. A free movie for them is like, that's amazing. You can go to a movie screening and not have to pay.
Right.
That's a huge day out. You know what I
Right.
mean? I
And they
think
go
it's
tell their
great when
friends.
these things work out that way.
Yep. 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 Exactly. Print ads in Reader's Digest.
Yeah.
Guess what? It led to box office.
You got to promote these movies. You can't just drop them on streamers and expect them to make you any money.
Nope. Nope. You gotta buy full pagers or sometimes quarter pagers in Reader's Digest magazine. Print version. Print
Yes,
version.
people still read print,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you will believe it. Now,
So
can we talk about M3GAN?
let's
Can we
talk about
talk
M3GAN.
about can we talk about a 3-day of
Mm-hmm.
18.2 that is
Mm-hmm.
only down 40%, which would have been an amazing hold in its second weekend,
Oh, it would have been amazing. I
right?
mean, M3GAN's 3-day weekend of $18.2 million would have been a fantastic opening weekend for a movie of this size. and
Yeah.
this is the second weekend.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. Is there, so I mean, M3GAN, we're almost left speechless by this run, but it only dropped 40%. That is incredible. I mean, usually a movie that opens as high as that did has to drop over 50%. Usually a horror film is an even bigger drop. So this hold, like Puss in Boots, I mean, it clearly shows people are loving this movie. The word of mouth on M3GAN is fantastic. Something that came up on box office, the box office Twitter sphere today was our good friend Jeff Bach of Exhibitor Relations Co. He mentioned House Party and how it didn't have a huge opening. And he mentioned how this is kind of another bad sign for just the old-fashioned studio comedy. Another studio comedy that didn't break out. But I mean, I want to posit here, Clayton, that M3GAN is a studio comedy that is showing that comedy is alive and well, because M3GAN herself is a box office comedy star.
Yes. Real fast before I talk to that point,
Mm-hmm.
I mistakenly said M3GAN was in its third weekend. It's only in its second weekend. So down
Yes,
40 would be, I mean, it's great in its second weekend,
it's great.
obviously.
Yeah.
So I will say, but that the thing with M3GAN being a comedy is true. I think what Jeff is speaking to is that pure comedies,
Of course.
not action comedies,
Right.
not superhero quote unquote comedies like
Right.
Deadpool. Those sort of, not horror comedies, those sort of comedies do not do well. And that
Right.
holds true, right?
Totally.
House Party was not a horror. That was not a haunted house movie,
No,
right?
no.
It's not an action movie. It's not. They're not superheroes.
Right.
This isn't Secret Headquarters Party,
Right.
right?
Right. Right. Right.
Where they, two guys throw a party at Superman's house or whatever,
Right.
right?
Right. Right.
That's the real thing here. Of course, M3GAN is a comedy. Allison Williams, underrated comedic actress.
Yes. Yes. I mean, listen, M3GAN is the new Will Ferrell. We may not have Will Ferrell type movie stars anymore, where it's just you go from SNL to supporting roles in comedies to then your own comedies, and you're on top of the box office for 10 years. You might not have that. You may just have someone like M3GAN who bypasses that whole system. M3GAN never had to go on the stand-up circuit, never had to do improv at the UCB theater. M3GAN bypassed all that, didn't even have to be a cast member, featured player in SNL. M3GAN went right to movies and does horror comedies, and she is our current version of a Will Ferrell or Melissa McCarthy or Kevin Hart. That's our comedy star.
And look at something like Barbarian, right? I mean, that's a funny movie.
Yes.
I mean, that performance by Justin Long is, listen, the fact that it was not nominated for at least a Globe is a tragedy.
Yes.
Right? That's a comedy. That movie's funny.
Right.
And people at our theater were laughing their butts off.
Right. Right.
But if
right.
it was a Justin Long movie about an Airbnb where it's double booked and they fall in love,
right,
that movie ain't making shit.
Right. Right. It would have to star George Clooney and Julia Roberts for that to do any business. But
and that's not a comedy where it's like you can pay the person who stars in it like less than $20 million. You know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
You're not getting Julia Roberts and George Clooney for cheap. You're just not.
Right. So yeah, I mean, M3GAN is what comedies are now. It'll be interesting. We'll talk about it on a weekend preview episode in a few weeks. You've got 80 for Brady coming out in a few weeks. That is probably as close to an old-fashioned studio comedy as it gets. The only thing you're getting out of that movie is laughs. You're going there for a laugh, and we'll see how that does in a few weeks. But yeah, M3GAN, horror, comedy, whatever genre you want to put it in, the genre is it's a hit.
Before we talk about Avatar: The Way of Water
Okay.
and get into where it is domestically all time, where it is all time worldwide, because we do have to mention it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do we talk the plane, the plane, the plane, the plane,
We
plane?
haven't even talked Plane. Yeah, I mean Gerard Butler's Plane. I think this one did well. It's not a spectacular overperformer. I don't think either of us think this will become a sensation,
No.
but what did it make in the 4 day? Because it made 10.2 in the 3 day. And did it get to like 11 in the 4 day?
In the 4 day, it made 12.
It made 12. I mean, this movie,
That's higher than we thought. We both said like 7.
we were very low on this. We
Well, we
were.
just didn't think it was promoted enough. We hadn't
Yeah.
seen it in enough places.
Yeah. I mean, I guess with this movie, I mean, listen, we both saw this movie on
Mm-hmm.
Saturday, and we're not critics, huh? We're not here to
Huh?
pick it apart, huh?
Huh?
This is a movie that hangs completely on the star power of Gerard Butler. He throws
Mm-hmm.
this movie on his back and he flies it around for an hour and a half. And
Yeah.
it's clear that he carried the promotion too, because he's just a star at this level who people will find his movie. If he has got a movie out, even if you under promote it, just him being in a movie is going to get a certain amount of people out to the theater.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I mean, I think that this is a win for him.
Yes.
I think this is showing that he continuously can put out these sorts of movies and make money.
Mm-hmm.
It is a forgettable one. It's not a Den of Thieves. It's not a Greenland, which I mean, obviously Greenland didn't get a great release because it was during COVID, but that movie I think would have done a lot better if it came out now.
Yeah, that's about it. But you know what? There is something about, I think, the simplicity of Plane and the simplicity of that title that did help it this weekend. You know, this
Mm-hmm.
Greenland was a movie we both liked more than Plane, but it was a little bit of a thinker to some degree.
Yeah,
Plane is just the ultimate in this is going to be fully B action.
yeah,
And there was something about that simplicity that people responded to. And again, we're not trying to say this was some kind of gigantic hit and it's going to have an incredible run. It's probably going to drop pretty steadily
yeah, oh yeah.
and, you know, top out and maybe under 30 million. Maybe it doesn't even get to 30. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I think this opening does show that right now, Gerard Butler is, I would say, a bigger star in this B movie genre, B action genre than Liam Neeson. Is that safe to
Yeah,
say?
I think so. But Liam Neeson just puts out so much product. I
He
mean,
does. Yeah.
that I think is to the detriment because he
Yeah.
doesn't feel special anymore. The thing about Taken and some of those first films that he did, they felt so special. Now they just feel like, oh, there's another one. There's another
Yeah.
one.
And to be fair,
And
Liam Neeson is a little older, and I think Jerry Butler could still do more action in his action movies. Liam Neeson kind of
yes,
has to be a guy who walks around with a gun and stands there. I mean, listen, the guy is, I'm sure it's still in fantastic shape for his age and everything. But Gerard Butler, I
he
think,
could whoop both of our butts
of
for sure.
course, huh?
Huh?
But I think Jerry Butler, yeah, he could still give you a higher quality B action movie, and he's definitely more mobile.
Now, let's talk Avatar because this movie
Yeah.
made 40 million over 4 days.
Wow.
Bigger than the 24.6 million that Spider-Man No Way Home Less Fun Edition,
Mm-hmm.
not more fun edition, made over MLK,
Mm-hmm.
right? This thing continues to be a juggernaut.
Mm-hmm.
Looking at, we'll talk domestic, but looking at worldwide, this thing is breathing down three Spider-Men's neck right now.
Wow.
It's
Wow.
gonna we already said it's gonna make 2 billion. It's at 1 billion. It's 1.9 billion, basically. It
Wow.
needs to make 7 million more dollars to overtake Spider-Man No Way Home.
That is incredible. So it's going to do it any minute now. Like any minute, it will have
It's
passed No Way Home worldwide all time.
and I think it is for worldwide a
Yes.
slam dunk that this thing is going to beat Infinity War.
Wow.
And it's going to become one of the top 5 all-time worldwide and stand with 2 other Cameron movies, Avatar the original and Titanic.
Wow.
How
Wowie wow wow.
crazy is that going to be?
It's insane. It's insane this guy's box office. I mean, yeah, I'm looking at so right now we're talking all-time worldwide. So that's domestic
Yes.
plus foreign. Usually we only
Mhm.
talk domestic. We're talking worldwide right now. So yeah, like you said, Avatar Way of Water is at number 7 on that list. It is minutes away from getting to number 6 and passing No Way Home. And then
Mhm.
at that point, it is what 140 million or so away from getting past Infinity War, which it is gonna do.
Mhm.
And I mean, it looks like then at that point, it's only then after that, and those 16 million after that, and it passes Force Awakens, which I think both of those are slam dunks. I mean, yeah, it looks like it's going to settle in worldwide at number 4 all time.
My call
Unbelievable.
here
Yeah.
is that on both the worldwide chart and the domestic chart,
Mm.
it nestles next to Titanic.
Wow.
Because right now,
Wow.
Avatar domestically 572.4.
Right.
Titanic is at 659.
Okay.
So I do think that's reachable. And
I think that's going to
that's
happen.
I think that's going to happen. It could end up beating Infinity War also in the domestic realm. I'd love that, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Love it, love it, love it. Nestle next to Black Panther. But right now, my call is that it's going to be next to Titanic, Brothers in Arms
Mm-hmm.
on these charts. That's a slam dunk. Where it
Yes.
goes higher than that, that is Cameron magic. That's Jimmy Cameron magic.
Yeah.
You
I
know?
mean, I'm gonna if we're talking domestic, all
Okay.
time domestic,
And we are.
I'm gonna make the prediction at this point
Okay.
that Way of Water is gonna end up passing Infinity War. Because I mean,
Okay. Okay.
to do that, it needs to make another $106 million domestic, or
Okay.
$107 million domestic, another
Yeah.
$107 million from this point forward. I mean, I think it's definitely going to do that. Mark it down. Want to be O intern Christopher? Pull the tape and set it aside on, Monday, January 16th. I am saying Way of Water will end up surpassing Infinity War all-time domestic. I mean,
Well,
it made
it made
40.
40.
It made 40, and from this time last week, it made $47 million in 1 week. So for me to
Yes.
say, can it make another $107 million in probably it'll play another 8, 10, 12 weeks, most likely? Yes, I think that's going to happen.
I
I
mean,
think
it's
that's
got a
going to happen.
month till Quantum Mania,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
that's the middle of February. It's got a whole another month left.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
think it
I
is.
mean, so I wouldn't be. I mean, listen, I think that's a great possibility. But if we're talking slam dunks, if we're talking,
Yes.
it's gonna happen.
Right.
What I laid out is gonna happen.
Yes. 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 For sure. It'll get at least as far as past Titanic. I agree. I mean,
And
listen, the only thing to say, we've been saying it every week about Way of Water. It happened again.
it happened again. Yeah.
Big Jim did it again. And it's going to be hilarious in 2 years when we go through the same exact cycle where everyone says, who even remembers Avatar? Cameron's
Mm-hmm.
bringing in another one over budget. Cameron's not going to, it's going to be the same thing again. And they're all going to say it. All the usual people are going to say the usual things. And we're just going to have a laugh.
Yep. Now, I gotta say, Pat,
Mm-hmm.
before we go, because we did a
Mm-hmm.
lot here,
Oh, so much.
we we did get an email
Okay.
from Wannabeo Boy Sean
Okay.
with the title "A Shout Out to the Birthday Boy,"
Mm.
and Sean says, "Hi, Pat, Clayton, and Christopher.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice of you to throw Christopher in there. He does
Yep.
great work behind the scenes. Never
Yep.
gets as many shout outs as he deserves. Many months ago, I was blessed with the very rare honor of being featured on the BO Boys via shoutout. If possible, I'd love to return the favor and request a shout out to my fellow Wanna BO Boy, resident anime expert, and special release expert candidate, Marcus. Marcus's birthday is January 16th, potentially when the weekend recap episode will be released. That is correct. Marcus is a good friend and even greater advocate for the theater experience. Being an expert in our local theater selection, Marcus helped me determine which PLF theater would be best for my return to cinema viewing. My only regret being that it was Avatar Way of Water and not Top Gun Maverick. I look forward to listening to the show twice a week. Thanks so much for providing such an entertaining and insightful look into the world of box office. And thank you, Marcus, for introducing me to it. Happy birthday, buddy. Happy birthday, Marcus. He is all those things.
Yes.
We always enjoy Marcus's emails. In fact, we're going to be referencing one of his emails in our preview episode coming up later this week because
Wow.
Boots on the Ground reporting, he does anime, he does special releases. Jack of all trades, have the happiest of all birthdays, Marcus.
Happy birthday, Marcus. And I'm so glad that your birthday fell on such a joyous celebratory episode where the box office is riding high and Avatar is setting records and Puss in Boots is sick. It's you're a great wanna BO boy, and this was a great BO weekend. And have a great BO birthday, Marcus. Just
Yes.
happy birthday. While we're shouting out emails, I just want to quickly. We got an email from our wannabe old boy Danny, host of I Screen, You Scream 4, number 4 movies. And he just asked if we could give his thoughts on M3GAN. So this is what Danny said about M3GAN. After witnessing the marketing of hashtag M3GAN's works, the film surprised me in many ways. Comparing to Chucky doesn't have humor, heartfelt story, and a lighter tone. Great start to my movie-going 2023 year and fun to enjoy for horror doll fans. So that is from Danny. Horror doll fans, they're having the time of their life right now, M3GAN. So thanks for that report, Danny.
We got a shout out to Wannabe Boy Rotus, who also
Oh,
sent us
go
an
for it.
email. Our
Go
boy
for it.
Rotus,
Yes, thank you,
who
Rotus.
said some really nice things. He's talking about Tommy Hilfiger Hanks.
Yep.
He reads Anthony D. Alessandro, D for Disney, of course. Talking about Otto. He read this in Deadline about the movie playing well in the Heartland, and is this the key to the left coast rejuvenating theaters? Is it about the Heartland? Is it the Heartland that made Maverick a phenomenal hit?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Is the coast still important? And I think we did answer these questions. I think the coasts are always important.
Of course
right?
they are. We're on the coast. It's important.
But the Heartland is very important. This is something we'll get more into, I think, later, because Otto's going to have this huge run. So this is something we're going to be able to talk about and really extrapolate when we have a little bit more time. But it's a great question. I mean, I think everybody knows where I land on this. I'm salt of the earth. I was born an earth dog, right? I'm a Joe Lunch Pail.
Right.
And so I do believe the Heartland needs to have more movies.
Yes, you were born in the Heartland, and we on the coast will make sure you are buried in the Heartland.
Well, I wouldn't go that far.
I mean, it's already been decided, but it goes to show, return to from whence you came. That is your land. And they did a great job with Otto. They're very important. The heartland is very important to the BO. So, yes, Rotus. Rotus, of course, is writing in from outside of the United States. So, I love that he gets the perspective here of what's going on in the States. And in the States, the heartland made Otto a hit. That is for sure.
Yeah, and I gotta listen. Don't bury me there. I'm
I mean,
serious. I'm
it's
serious.
again, these things are decided way in advance. So Clayton, we did it.
We
Obviously, we
definitely
love
did
getting your
it.
emails. So email us at theboboyspodcast at gmail.com. We love getting your insights. We love getting your questions. We love getting birthday shout outs for each other. So send us emails, theboboyspodcast at gmail.com. Follow us on social media, specifically Twitter. Wanna Be a Intern Christopher is killing it there with the clips and the excerpts and the audiograms and the video clips. So follow us there. Thank you, Wanna Be a Intern Christopher. We're on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel.
We're
So
YouTubers, Pat. Just say it.
we
Just
are
spit it out.
YouTubers.
We're
We are
YouTubers
YouTubers.
now.
So follow us on YouTube. Watch us on YouTube. For those of you who are watching on YouTube, subscribe right down there. Comments and subscribe. It's there. So
Hit
do it
that
there.
bell. That little
Smash
bell.
that like button. Smash it. Don't just hit it. Don't just tap it. Sometimes if you tap it, doesn't register. You got to really smash it.
Smash it. You got a Chromebook. Just buy another Chromebook. They're like $200.
And then another plug I want to give out, Clayton. I want to plug myself because I am currently on another podcast as well. I co-host with Nick Turner, who is, of course, was once the biggest comedy star, box office star in America back in summer 2020 when he starred in Killer Raccoons 2, Dark Christmas in the Dark. So myself and Nick Turner, we are the hosts of the Show Me the Money, which is a awards season gambling podcast. We take you through the lead up to the Academy Awards, the Golden Globes, the SAGs, and Critics' Choice, and all this kind of stuff. When we gamble on all these and we talk about the actors and the movies, and it's all building to the Oscars in March. And Clayton, the episode that is currently available right now, in which we recap last week's Golden Globes, you're on the show.
Yes, I was a former host, now
Yes.
frequent guest.
Yes.
We won't go into it.
Yes. Well, I mean, the thing is that being
There's
a
no need to go
guest,
into it.
being a guest is a great spot.
It's the best spot.
It's the best spot. And so you really you earned it. And so
Being the guest is being the front of the human centipede.
Exactly. And I'm in the middle and Nick's in the back.
But you
And
wouldn't like it any other way. I mean, you love the middle.
it's great. You just relax and you turn your brain off.
Yeah,
It's like playing. You just turn your brain off. But yeah, the Show Me the Money, it's on whatever podcast platform you listen to us. The Show Me the Money is also there. So go subscribe. Me, Nick, Clayton a bunch of times, and movies. So it's a great show. It's a great show.
Absolutely. We love win bets.
Yeah. Win bets. Win bets. That's where it's at.
Mm-hmm.
WYNN BETS.
BETS.
Yes. And also, if you have a gambling problem, there is a phone number to call. I don't have it in front of me now. I will have it in front of me on the next episode of the Show Me the Money. We do read that gambling problem hotline number every week on the show. So
got to.
You could get it there. We don't have it here.
No. So, Pat, I think we did it.
Yes, we did it.
I don't think there's anything left to say.
No.
Except, until next time,
we'll smell you at the bar.